In his book, When Bad Things Happen to Good People, Rabbi Harold Kushner describes how painful it was for him when his son was dying. To hear the words people offered that were intended to make him feel better, even more painful was his recognition that for 20 years he had been saying the same things to other people in similar situations. Intellectual understanding blocks empathy. Believing we have to fix situations and make others feel better prevents us from being present. Those of us in the role of counselor or psychotherapist are particularly susceptible to this belief. Once, when I was working with 23 mental health professionals, I asked them to write, word for word, how they would respond to a client who says, I'm feeling very depressed. I just don't see any reason to go on. I collected the answers they had written down and announced, I am now going to read out loud what each of you wrote. Imagine yourself in the role of the person who expressed the feelings of depression and raise your hand after each statement you hear that gives you a sense that you've been understood. Hands were raised to only 3 of the 23 responses. Questions such as when did this begin constituted the most frequent response. They give the appearance that the professional is obtaining the information necessary to diagnose and then treat the problem. In fact, such intellectual understanding of a problem blocks the kind of presence that empathy requires. When we are thinking about people's words and listening to how they connect to our theories, we are looking at people, we are not with them. The key ingredient of empathy is presence. We are wholly present with the other party and what they are experiencing. This quality of presence distinguishes empathy from either mental understanding or sympathy. While we may choose at times to sympathize with others by feeling their feelings, it's helpful to be aware that during the moment we are offering sympathy, we're not empathizing. Listening for feelings and needs. In NVC, no matter what words people use to express themselves, we listen for their observations, feelings, needs, and requests. Imagine you've loaned your car to a new neighbor who had a personal emergency, and when your family finds out, they react with intensity. You are a fool for having trusted a total stranger. You can use the components of NVC to tune into the feelings and needs of those family members in contrast to either blaming yourself by taking the message personally or blaming and judging them. No matter what others say, we only hear what we are observing, feeling, needing, and requesting. In this situation, it's obvious what the family is observing and reacting to, the lending of the car to a relative stranger. In other situations, it may not be so clear. If a colleague tells us, you're not a good team player, we may not know what he or she is observing, although we can usually guess at the behavior that might have triggered such a statement. The following exchange from a workshop demonstrates the difficulty of focusing on other people's feelings and needs when we are accustomed to assuming responsibility for their feelings and taking messages personally. The women in this dialogue wanted to learn to hear the feelings and needs behind certain of her husband's statements. I suggested that she guess at his feelings and needs and then check it out with him. Husband's statement. What good does talking to you do? You never listen. Woman, are you feeling unhappy with me? MBR. When you say with me, you imply that his feelings are the result of what you did. I would prefer for you to say, are you unhappy because you were needing, and not, are you unhappy with me? It would put your attention on what's going on with him and decrease the likelihood of your taking the message personally. Woman, but what would I say? Are you unhappy because you what? MBR, get your clue from the content of your husband's message. What good does talking to you do? You never listen. What is he needing that he is not getting when he says that? Woman, trying to empathize with the needs expressed through her husband's message. Are you feeling unhappy because you feel like I don't understand you? MBR, notice that you focusing on what he's thinking and not what he's needing. I think you'll find people to be less threatening if you hear what they're needing rather than what they're thinking about you. Instead of hearing that he's unhappy because he thinks you don't listen, focus on what he's needing by saying, "Are you unhappy because you are needing?" Woman trying again. "Are you feeling unhappy because you are needing to be heard?" MBR, "That's what I had in mind. Does it make a difference for you to hear him this way?" Woman, "Definitely a big difference. I see what's going on f- with for him without hearing what I had done anything wrong. Listen to what people are needing rather than what they are thinking.